Bismillah, Rahman, Rahim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin. My dear brothers and sisters, there are moments in life when something very small carries a weight far beyond what we expect. A few quiet words whispered sincerely can change the course of a person's life. A single moment of turning back to Allah with honesty can erase years of mistakes. In the same way, there are chapters of the Quran that are short in length, but immense in meaning, simple in wording, but profound in impact. Among these is Surah Al-Layl, a surah that many have memorized since childhood, yet its deeper message often remains untouched. This surah speaks directly to the human experience in a way that is both clear and transformative. It does not merely describe actions, it reveals patterns. It does not just encourage effort, it explains which kind of effort carries divine support. It shifts the understanding of success from something purely material to something deeply spiritual. When reflected upon carefully, it changes how a person sees struggle, wealth, opportunity, and even their own purpose. Allah begins this surah with powerful oaths, and these oaths are not casual statements. They are deliberate and meaningful, drawing attention to realities that surround us constantly, but are rarely contemplated. The night as it covers everything, the day as it reveals everything, and the creation of male and female. These are not just elements of the natural world. They are signs of a system built on balance, contrast, and precision. The night is a time when the world slows down. Noise fades, distractions weaken, and a different kind of awareness emerges. It is during these quiet hours that thoughts become clearer and emotions rise to the surface. In this stillness, a person often feels more connected, more aware of their own weaknesses and hopes. The night represents what is hidden, the unseen processes that are unfolding beyond human perception. Much of what shapes a person's future begins in these unseen moments. Plans are written, destinies are arranged, and blessings are prepared long before they appear in visible form. Then comes the day which exposes what the night concealed. It is the time when effort becomes visible, when results begin to take shape, when what was once hidden becomes clear. The day is not separate from the night, it is its continuation. What is planted in the unseen becomes apparent in the seen. This relationship between night and day reflects a deeper truth about life itself. Not everything that matters is immediately visible, and not every delay means absence. Often, what feels like stillness is actually preparation. The mention of male and female further emphasizes that everything in existence operates through pairs and opposites. This duality is not random, it is intentional. It creates balance and meaning. Without contrast, there would be no understanding. Without difficulty, ease would lose its value. Without moments of tightness, expansion would not be appreciated. Life moves between these opposites constantly, and this movement is part of a greater design. After establishing this framework, the surah presents a reality that is both simple and profound. Human beings are not all walking the same path, even if they appear to be doing similar things. Two people may work equally hard, yet their outcomes are entirely different. Two people may possess similar skills, yet one finds doors opening effortlessly, while the other struggles endlessly. The difference lies not only in the action itself, but in what surrounds that action: intention, sincerity, trust, and the unseen support that comes from Allah. This surah teaches that provision is not merely the result of effort. It is something that is guided, opened, and facilitated. It is something that can be restricted or expanded in ways that go beyond human calculation. A person may accumulate wealth but feel constant stress, dissatisfaction, and emptiness. Another may have very little in comparison, yet live with a sense of peace, stability, and contentment that cannot be measured in numbers. This shows that true provision is not defined by quantity alone, but by the presence of blessing within it. Blessing transforms what is small into something sufficient, and what is sufficient into something abundant. It brings ease where there should be difficulty, and clarity where there should be confusion. It aligns circumstances in ways that a person could never plan on their own. This is why two lives that look similar on the surface can feel completely different from within. The surah also shifts the understanding of success away from constant striving and exhaustion. It introduces the idea that there is a path where things become easier, not necessarily because the effort disappears, but because the effort is supported. There is a difference between pushing through life alone and being guided through it. When a person aligns themselves with what Allah has outlined, their path begins to change. Obstacles that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Opportunities appear at unexpected times. Solutions come in ways that cannot be predicted. This does not mean that life becomes free of challenges. Difficulty is still part of the journey, but it no longer feels chaotic or meaningless. Instead, it becomes purposeful, measured, and temporary. A person begins to recognize that every phase, whether easy or difficult, is part of a larger pattern that is leading somewhere specific. The rhythm of provision mirrors the rhythm of creation itself. Just as the night does not last forever and the day does not remain indefinitely, states of life also shift. There are periods when things feel hidden, slow, or uncertain. During these times, it is easy to assume that nothing is happening. But just as the night is not empty, these moments are not empty either. They are filled with unseen processes that are preparing what is to come. Then there are moments when everything becomes clear, when results appear, when doors open and paths become visible. These moments feel sudden, but they are not sudden at all. They are the outcome of what has been building quietly over time. Understanding this changes how a person reacts to both delay and success. Delay is no longer seen as failure, and success is no longer seen as purely self-earned. Both are understood as parts of a system that is precise and intentional. Nothing that reaches a person is random. Every opportunity, every delay, every increase, and every decrease carries meaning. Even what is taken away has a purpose, just as what is given has a purpose. When this realization settles in the heart, it creates a sense of stability that is not easily shaken. A person no longer measures their life only by immediate results, but by the trust that everything is unfolding according to a wisdom that is far greater than their own understanding. In this way, the message of Surah Al-Layl becomes more than just words that are recited. It becomes a lens through which life is viewed. It reshapes priorities, strengthens patience, and deepens reliance on Allah. It reminds a person that while effort is necessary, it is not the only factor. What truly transforms effort into meaningful results is the presence of divine guidance and blessing. When this understanding is internalized, the way a person moves through life changes completely. Struggles are faced with patience instead of panic. Opportunities are received with gratitude instead of arrogance. And the future is approached with trust instead of fear. Nothing that is delayed in your life happens without purpose, and nothing that comes quickly arrives without meaning. Every moment, every opening, every pause unfolds with precision. Just as the night and the day move in perfect order by the command of Allah, the night does not overstep into the day, and the day does not delay its arrival. Each follows a path that has already been set. In the same way, your provision moves along a path that has already been written. Your wealth has its appointed time. Your opportunities have their appointed time. Your moments of relief and your moments of breakthrough are not scattered events. They are part of a rhythm that existed long before you were born. When this truth settles in the heart, it begins to change the way a person sees everything. Waiting no longer feels like abandonment, and sudden ease no longer feels accidental. A delay is not a sign that something is missing. It is a sign that something is being prepared. And when something arrives quickly, it is not luck, it is timing finally becoming visible. Just as the darkness of the night quietly carries the promise of dawn, every hidden moment in your life carries the seeds of what will eventually appear. This is why reflecting on Surah Al-Layl during the night carries such a deep effect. The night is not empty time. It is not simply the absence of light. It is a space where unseen movement takes place. The world becomes quiet, distractions fade, and the heart becomes more aware. In this stillness, things begin to unfold that cannot be seen with the eyes. Doors begin to open without noise. Paths begin to shift without announcement. The soul becomes more receptive, able to sense truths that are often drowned out during the noise of the day. There is something unique about the night that allows a person to connect more deeply. It strips away the layers of distraction and leaves a person alone with their thoughts, their hopes, and their fears. In that moment, sincerity becomes easier. Words spoken in that quiet carry a weight that is different from words spoken in the rush of daily life. It is in these moments that the meanings of this surah begin to settle, not just as ideas, but as realities that can be felt. As the heart absorbs this rhythm of night and day, the surah then directs attention toward the reality of human lives. Just as creation is built on pairs and contrasts, people also fall into two distinct paths. These paths are not determined by outward appearances. They are not defined by how much a person owns, how educated they are, or how others perceive them. The division lies deeper, rooted in the unseen state of the heart and the choices that emerge from it. The path toward ease begins with something that seems simple, yet carries immense weight: giving. Not giving from abundance alone, but giving from a place of trust. Giving is not just the act of releasing something from your hand, it is the act of releasing fear from your heart. It is a declaration that what you hold is not your true source, and that what you give will never truly be lost. When a person gives sincerely, they step into a system where loss transforms into gain in ways that cannot always be calculated. Giving reshapes the relationship between a person and the world around them. Instead of holding tightly out of fear, they begin to release with confidence. Instead of seeing provision as something they must protect, they begin to see it as something that flows. And when this shift happens, doors begin to open. Sometimes those doors appear in the form of wealth, sometimes in the form of opportunities, sometimes in the form of peace and clarity. What returns is not always identical to what was given, but it is always greater in value. Alongside giving comes a deeper state of awareness, a constant consciousness that shapes decisions and actions. This awareness is not about fear alone. It is about being mindful of every step, knowing that every choice carries weight. It is a state where a person pauses before acting, where they consider not just what they want, but what is right. This awareness acts like a force that aligns a person with what is beneficial, even when it is not immediately obvious. When a person lives with this awareness, their path begins to shift in subtle but powerful ways. They avoid choices that would lead to regret, and they are guided toward choices that bring long-term benefit. It is as if their life begins to move with a quiet form of guidance, where even small decisions begin to carry positive outcomes. Then comes belief, a deep and unwavering trust that what lies ahead is good. This belief is not based on visible evidence alone. It is rooted in the certainty that Allah's promises are true, that every act done sincerely is preserved, and that nothing given for His sake is ever wasted. This belief creates a sense of expectation, not of entitlement, but of hope. A person begins to expect goodness, not because of their own actions alone, but because of the one they are relying upon. This expectation changes how a person experiences life. Difficult moments do not break them in the same way, because they see beyond the immediate hardship. Delays do not create despair, because they trust that something is still unfolding. Even when things are unclear, there remains a quiet confidence that everything is moving towards something better. From this combination of giving, awareness, and belief, a transformation begins to take place. The path ahead becomes easier, not necessarily because challenges disappear, but because the weight of those challenges is reduced. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once felt confusing becomes clearer. It is as if the road itself begins to adjust, removing unnecessary obstacles and guiding the person forward. This ease is not accidental. It is not something stumbled upon by chance. It is something that is created, facilitated, and sustained. It appears in decisions that feel guided, in relationships that feel balanced, in opportunities that arrive at the right time. It appears in a sense of calm that remains even when circumstances are not perfect. This is a form of success that goes beyond external results. It is a success that is felt within, a sense that things are unfolding as they should. On the other side, there is a path that moves in the opposite direction. It begins with withholding, with a heart that tightens instead of opening. This is not simply about refusing to give. It is about a deeper attachment to what is held. It is about fearing loss more than trusting in what can be gained. When this mindset takes hold, it begins to shape actions, decisions, and ultimately outcomes. A person who withholds begins to see the world through a lens of scarcity. They begin to believe that what they have is all they can rely on. This belief creates a barrier, not just in their actions, but in the flow of their life. Opportunities feel limited, progress feels slow, and even when something is gained, it does not bring the sense of fulfillment that was expected. Doubt begins to replace trust, and this doubt quietly closes doors. It prevents a person from stepping into opportunities that require faith. It limits their willingness to act in ways that could bring greater reward. Over time, this creates a path that feels heavier, where effort does not translate into ease, and where progress feels forced rather than guided. The contrast between these two paths reveals something essential. The difference between ease and hardship is not always visible from the outside. It is not always about how much a person has, but about how their life unfolds and how their heart experiences it. Two people may stand in similar positions, yet one feels peace while the other feels constant strain. Through the message of Surah Al-Layl, it becomes clear that life is not a random sequence of events. It is a structured journey shaped by choices, beliefs, and a deeper connection to the one who controls all outcomes. Every delay carries preparation. Every ease carries intention. Every path is leading somewhere specific. When a person truly understands this, their entire perspective shifts. They stop chasing blindly and begin moving with awareness. They stop fearing loss and begin trusting in what cannot be lost. They stop seeing life as unpredictable chaos and begin recognizing it as a carefully designed path, where every step, whether easy or difficult, is guiding them towards something greater. When a person slowly turns away from the path of alignment, the change does not always come as a sudden collapse. It begins quietly, almost unnoticeably, in the inner state of the heart. What once required effort to resist starts to feel natural to accept. Small compromises no longer feel heavy. A mistake that once caused discomfort begins to feel ordinary. Over time, this subtle shift grows into a pattern where wrong choices no longer create inner resistance. They begin to flow with ease. Wasting time becomes effortless, not because time has lost its value, but because the awareness of its value has faded. Hours pass without purpose, and instead of feeling the weight of that loss, the heart becomes accustomed to it. Opportunities come and go, yet there is no urgency to respond, no clarity to recognize them, and no energy to pursue them. Slowly, blessings that were once present begin to slip away, not all at once, but piece by piece, until what remains feels empty, even if it looks sufficient from the outside. As this continues, the heart itself begins to change. It becomes heavier, not physically, but in a way that affects every aspect of life. Motivation weakens, clarity fades. Even when something good appears, it does not settle in the heart the way it once did. Life begins to feel tangled, as if every path requires more effort than it should. Doors that once opened with ease now seem firmly closed. Attempts are made, but they do not carry the same results. There is movement, but it feels forced. There is effort, but it lacks flow. This is not because Allah has turned away from the person, nor because He desires hardship for them. It is because the person has gradually moved away from the principles that bring ease. The system itself remains unchanged. The doors of mercy, provision, and guidance are still present, but the connection to those doors has weakened. When alignment is lost, the natural result is difficulty, not as a punishment, but as a reflection of that disconnection. This is the depth of the message within Surah Al-Layl. It shifts the entire understanding of success and struggle. It does not push a person toward exhaustion or endless striving. It does not define success as the result of pressure, speed, or constant pursuit. Instead, it reveals that ease comes from being aligned with what is true. It shows that provision is not something forced into existence through stress, but something drawn toward a person through sincerity and trust. It teaches that blessing is not attached to how quickly something is gained, but to how purely it is sought and received. When a person begins to live by these principles, a different kind of transformation takes place. Giving becomes natural, not because of abundance alone, but because of trust. The fear of losing is replaced with certainty that what is given will return in a better form. This changes how a person interacts with everything they have. They no longer see their resources as something to guard tightly, but as something that flows through them. At the same time, a constant awareness begins to shape their choices. Decisions are no longer made impulsively or purely for immediate gain. There is a pause, a reflection, a sense of responsibility toward what is right. This awareness does not complicate life. It simplifies it. It removes confusion by aligning actions with purpose. It protects from paths that lead to regret and gently guides toward paths that lead to growth. Alongside this awareness comes a deep expectation of good from Allah. This expectation is not based on visible outcomes alone. It is rooted in trust. A person begins to believe that every sincere effort is seen, every sacrifice is recorded, and every act of goodness carries a return, even if that return is not immediate. This belief creates a quiet strength within the heart. It allows a person to remain steady even when results are delayed, because they know that delay does not mean loss. From this combination of giving, awareness, and trust, something remarkable begins to unfold. The path ahead starts to feel lighter. Not because challenges disappear, but because they no longer carry the same weight. Difficult decisions become clearer. Complicated situations begin to untangle. There is a sense that things are being arranged in a way that supports progress rather than blocks it. This is a form of ease that cannot always be explained in material terms. It is felt in the smoothness of decisions, in the timing of opportunities, in the presence of the right people at the right moments. It is felt in the heart as a sense of calm that remains even when circumstances are not perfect. It is a life where effort and outcome are connected through a sense of guidance, where things do not feel random but purposeful. On the other hand, when a person holds back, when their heart becomes tight and attached to what they possess, a different pattern begins to form. Giving feels like loss instead of trust. Letting go feels risky instead of freeing. Over time, this creates a mindset where security is sought in what is held rather than in the one who provides. This shift may seem small, but its impact is deep. A person begins to rely more on what they can control and less on what they cannot. This creates a sense of limitation. Opportunities that require faith feel too uncertain. Actions that require trust feel too risky. Gradually, life becomes narrower. Even when something is gained, it does not expand the heart. Instead, it increases the need to protect, to hold, to fear losing. This leads to a form of hardship that is not always visible from the outside. A person may appear stable, even successful, yet internally feel constant pressure. There is movement, but no peace. There is gain, but no satisfaction. The heart remains unsettled, always seeking something more, yet never feeling complete. The contrast between these two paths reveals a deeper truth. Ease and hardship are not always defined by external conditions. They are shaped by the state of the heart. and its connection to the source of all things. A person can have little and feel abundance, or have much and feel emptiness. What makes the difference is not the amount, but the presence or absence of alignment. Reflecting on Surah Al-Layl during the night strengthens this understanding. The night creates a space where a person can step away from the noise and return to clarity. It is a time when distractions no longer dominate, when the heart becomes more open, when sincerity becomes easier to access. In that stillness, a person can recognize where they stand, where they have drifted, and where they need to return. In those quiet moments, there is a natural turning back. A recognition that no matter how much a person tries to control, there are limits they cannot cross. This recognition does not weaken them. It grounds them. It redirects their reliance toward the one who holds all outcomes. It allows them to release what they cannot manage and trust that it will be handled with wisdom beyond their own understanding. This turning back is not just about words. It is about a shift in the heart, a desire to be realigned, to return to a state where actions, intentions, and beliefs move together in harmony. It is about seeking not just results, but meaning, not just gain, but blessing, not just movement, but direction. As this shift takes place, the heart begins to feel lighter. The weight of constant control begins to lift. The pressure to force outcomes begins to fade. In its place comes a sense of trust, a quiet confidence that everything is unfolding as it should. This does not remove effort from life, but it transforms effort into something guided rather than forced. In the end, the message becomes clear. Life is not a random sequence of events. It is a structured journey shaped by choices, beliefs, and connection. Every delay carries preparation. Every ease carries intention. Every path leads somewhere meaningful. When a person understands this deeply, they begin to move differently. They stop chasing without direction and start walking with awareness. They stop fearing loss and begin trusting in what cannot be lost. They stop seeing life as unpredictable chaos and begin recognizing it as a carefully designed path where every step, whether easy or difficult, is guiding them towards something greater. And in the end, what truly matters is not how fast you moved, how much you gathered, or how many doors you forced open, but whether your heart found its way back to the one who was always in control. Because every path you walked, every delay you endured, every ease you tasted was never random. It was all guiding you, slowly and precisely, toward a moment of realization that nothing works without Him, and everything becomes possible with Him. So let the world rush if it wants to. Let people chase what they think will complete them. You have been shown something deeper. You now know that ease is not hunted, it is granted. Provision is not seized, it is written. And peace is not found in having more, but in trusting more. Hold on to that truth when life feels slow. Hold on to it when things finally open. Stay a person who gives, who remains aware, who expects goodness from Allah, even when the road is unclear. Because the one who lives like this is not just walking through life, they are being guided through it. And when your story reaches its final page, when everything you chased and everything you feared is left behind, what will remain is the state of your heart. A heart that trusted, a heart that returned, a heart that found ease, not just in this world, but in what comes after. May your path be softened, your burdens lifted, Your Ozido filled with Barakah, and your ending more beautiful than your beginning.